I had to send back my ThinkPad Z13. It actually had a faulty motherboard, I suspect. And I picked up this ASUS Vivobook. I got this on Prime Day. It's the only thing I think I bought off that. And it was 1,100 Canadian, so 1,100 Canadian, which would be, I don't know, maybe 700 American, 750 American dollars, somewhere around there. It has a 120 hertz OLED screen, which was the first thing that I noticed. So then I decided to grab it. But it has really nice specs overall. And I've had really good experience with ASUS. I had one in the past and I really liked it. So I decided to go back, especially for the price. So let's just open it up here. There. ASUS Vivobook, and it's M5402R, whatever. So it's the 2022 model, and it has a 6000 series CPU. So it's got the AMD 6800H, which is nice. So it'll have good integrated graphics. It'll have, I think it's a 680M that it'll have. That's great. That's basically what my ThinkPad had, so there'll be no problem there. That's also a 45 watt processor rather than, I think, 35 or 25 in the ThinkPad. So it'll be a little bit more powerful. It'll be hotter, but it'll be more powerful. 14.5 inch OLED screen, which is beautiful. That was my biggest thing. I loved the OLED on the ThinkPad, so I didn't want to lose that. This here is a 120 hertz OLED, so it's actually better in many ways. So, and it looks like the battery is a 70 watt hour battery, so it's actually pretty big. Again, it's not going to have the craziest battery life, but it'll be fine. I suspect this will be like an 8-hour laptop. We'll open that up after. Whatever. There'll be probably some stickers or something in here. Who knows? Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Oh wow, there's a lot of stickers in there. That's really cool, actually. I'm not a sticker guy, but my partner is. Usually we like ironic. She likes ironic, kind of pessimistic stickers, but these are funny. These are nice. What does that even say? Is that English? I don't know if that's English. So there's a power brick under there, probably 65 watt, 90 watt. That's actually a good size for a 90 watt. That's the same as some of those 90 watt, like Lenovo or 100 watt Lenovo chargers. So this is not as slim as, you know, that ThinkPad that I had, that 13 inch. This is a 14.4 inch, which is fine. I don't mind a slightly bigger laptop. And it's going to be a little bit heavier and a little bit bigger overall. I've seen a couple reviews on this online, but nothing like a user level. It's more just like tech specs. So it's got this weird badge thing. I read it's a fingerprint magnet. I find all ASUS laptops are. That's fine. I don't often have greasy fingers, but I wipe my machines obsessively, so that's kind of cool. It's all metal, top and bottom, thin metal, but it feels nice. You know, I can already, my hands are actually clean. I just took a shower, but it just has that. Weirdly, so that's the fan there. That's a fairly blocked off fan there. It's not going to get a ton of airflow. We'll see though. It might be fine. Looks like it has intake there, outtake there, and outtake along the back there. So you get both. Speaker grills there. That's nice. Nice little riser there. So anyways, the build quality is nice. USB-C, or sorry, USB-A 3. I can't remember if it's 3.1 or just 3. You get power delivery, USB 3. These are USB 3, 3.1 Gen 2, I believe. So they're fast. They're like 10 gigabit per second or whatever. They're not Thunderbolt, but they're quick. So I am losing that USB 4 capability, unfortunately, but there's just not a lot of laptops that have it. So that kind of sucks. HDMI and another USB-A. Dedicated headphone jack, whatever. I like the higher aspect ratio, higher screens. It has a physical privacy shutter there, which is always nice. Okay, so here we are booted up past the Windows installer. First thing I'm going to do is look for bloatware. That's a thing that I like to check. I can already see there's a virus on my computer, the McAfee right there. So I'm going to have to remove that virus. I might reinstall Windows at some point. Most of the stuff you can get from Lenovo is really easy to get, but yeah, I might not need to, depending on how much bloatware is on here. This is probably like a Dolby thing. I'll have to look that up. Probably get rid of that. I don't need that kind of crap. I'll probably get rid of this. These GlideX things. I might leave them, we'll see. This is a virus, so we're going to remove the McAfee virus right away. Just so I don't forget. No one wants to have a computer with a virus installed from factory on it. Edge is fine. News, I'll get rid of this. Like, it doesn't matter. These Microsoft, things, I'm going to remove all of these. The reason I actually have a 365 subscription through my institution, so I'm going to get rid of them. You can leave them. I mean, they don't matter, but I'm going to get rid of them all. My ASUS is actually a very good tool. Don't remove that. Don't ever remove that. And if you do a fresh install on an ASUS machine, put that on right away, because it allows you to handle things like not overcharging your battery to 100% if you leave your machine plugged in constantly, different power profiles, warranty, and you can, that kind of stuff. So this is actually a really good software there. And so here's a really important thing that I found. I go down here and you go to your audio and visual. There's a couple of very important settings in here. This is an OLED screen, so OLEDs are always at risk of burn-in if you leave static images up. And this is in the My ASUS app. This is another reason why you want to get this app, so that you can really benefit. But it has this pixel refresh here, which it's basically a screensaver. You get that 30 minutes. So after a certain amount of time, you're basically going to basically put on a screensaver to help prevent burn-in. That's important. This is a big one here, this pixel shift. I don't know anything about it, but it makes sense. It basically slightly moves pixels enough that you can't really see, but it will also help prevent burn-in as well by, shifting around pixels a bit. So you're not just stuck on the same image super long term. So those two there would probably help really quite a bit, especially that one, with preventing OLED burn-in, which is always a risk. So you're gonna wanna keep that. Extreme expert, I'll look what these do, but that might be some kind of way to change colors or whatever, but I've got another McAfee virus. Yeah, so basically the only mandatory thing I would say, your software is a virus. Okay, so we'll restart and then I'll remove that web advisor, and then I think I'm going to leave everything else, but I'll have a look at what they actually do first. So, okay, I'm going to do this video for my audio test. I actually found that there's a bass undertone, like a deep bass, that a lot of laptops, you can't even hear it. I found that on ThinkPad you actually could hear it. My Legion, you can hear it plain as day. On my desktop it's really, really pronounced. But I find that laptops with kind of thin audio and missing the low end, you actually can't hear it. It's just not there. So we'll listen to this. Yeah, I'm not hearing it. I'll turn it up now. The audio sounds good, but it's definitely missing low end. I'll turn it up a little bit louder. So this is max. Okay, so the sound is there. It's a really, really nice sounding, very, very crisp, but it is missing that low end. And I'm going to actually show an example of that on something that has bass. Okay, so now I'm going to do it with the same thing with this Bluetooth speaker. This has exaggerated bass, but I want you to hear that under kind of low end bass that is missing from this laptop. I think that's something important to do a comparison here, because other laptops that I've had do have that bass, especially large gaming laptops. This one does not, but you'll hear it here. So you can hear that underlying bit of the audio track there. Okay, I'm going to bring you guys in just so you can hear the audio, the acoustics of the fan. It's really ripping right now because it's doing a Windows update. This glass surface exaggerates the sound, but it's definitely there. And that's because, like I said, Windows is updating. It just sounds like a fan, like there's no whine to it or any kind of annoying pitchiness or anything like that. It's just air. It sounds like air moving. And I'm actually very sensitive to annoying fan noises when it's like whiny or pitchy. This doesn't have that at all. I decided to run a speed test a minute ago, and this is what I'm getting here. 100 megabytes a second, which may seem fast, but I have 950 megabyte internet. On Wi-Fi, I typically get 400. I'm really close to the router as well. So with my phone, I get like 400, and other laptops, I get 300 to 400. And here we go. After updating the drivers for the Wi-Fi card, we're getting proper speeds again. So I don't know, I guess whatever comes stock with it is either really outdated or just needs completely to be removed. Looks like I lost my footage on the keyboard. So this is actually several days later. Yeah, this is actually a really, really nice trackpad. It's quite large. So it's got a nice smooth texture. It's quite large, just as a mouse, for example. So it's, you know, pretty big trackpad. And the main thing is it's precise. I find ASUS and Lenovo make really good trackpads. ASUS makes quite nice ones. It's very smooth texture. There's no like sticky grippiness to it. And it's very precise. That's the other thing. So, you know, when I'm using it, I don't know, it just feels really, really nice. The clicks are good. Nice clickiness. Nothing crazy on the clickiness, but it's just a nice trackpad. I'm sure there's better ones out there, but there's definitely a lot of worse trackpads. So that's a good trackpad. And the keyboard is phenomenal. The ThinkPads have the best laptop keyboards out there. ThinkPads are, you know, kind of famous for that. Second would be ASUS. They make really, really good keyboards. There's obviously RGB there. And they're slightly raised up, so they kind of float there, the chiclet style, but there's good key travel, a good amount of travel. So if you're playing games, you're going to appreciate that. If you're typing, you're really going to appreciate that nice key travel. And the other thing is they feel, there's a nice snap to them. I mean, they're not mechanical, but there's a tactility and a snap to the keys that feels really, really nice. So it is actually quite a nice keyboard overall and trackpad. So it's actually, I've been really enjoying using it for typing up documents and, you know, using the trackpad. It's actually quite nice. You can already see the casualties of fingerprints there. Looks like getting inside is pretty straightforward. There's these, I don't know what this is called, but there's the little star head screwdriver, the little 6-star or whatever, 7-star, all the way around. And then I'll basically just use the little guitar pick thingy, whatever these are called, to get in. But yeah, it's not overly complicated. We'll just see if it's not the locking type, so I'm just going to make sure that they are all the same size. If not, you know, you're going to want to make sure you lay them out. Okay, so I had a bit of a hard time there, but I got it in the front there. See my dog below? And now it'll be easy to pull up, but that's where I'd go. I wouldn't go in the back. It's just too narrow. Showing the snugger laptops to open up, I think, just because there's a lip there. It kind of buries it. Okay, so there we go inside. Metal. That's a fairly, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. There should be, I would prefer smaller holes than that, or a mesh or something. That's kind of annoying. But if it gets good airflow, it gets good airflow, we'll see. But, you know, I'd prefer that to not be so dense, but whatever. It is what it is. And here's a look inside. I think there's a video of this online, so, I mean, you could probably watch whoever else it is, but there's those speakers. Nothing overly impressive, but they're good. They're nice and clear. Clear speakers are good. Not bassy. It's not a music device, but you know, it has clear speakers, so that's fine. Pretty big battery for the size. Like I said, it's a 70 watt hour, I think it was. Yeah, 70 watt hour battery, so that's good. 2 heat pipes, a large one and a small one, running up to the APU. There's the fan there, which exhausts out that end there and that end there. Nice, dense fan blades. I find ASUS has good cooling overall, so it shouldn't be a problem. Especially with, you know, this is a 5800H, it's not a 5800U, so it is a higher wattage APU under there, so having a decent cooler is good. And this should push a decent amount of heat out. You know, it's not like a vapor chamber or anything, but that's fine. So the Wi-Fi here is, it's probably a MediaTek. Yeah, it's a MediaTek chip. Let's center on that. MediaTek MT922A2, I don't know what's under that, maybe M or something. And there, it's a SK Hynix, which makes good stuff. DDR5, 8 GB, 4800, so that's basically what I got to replace, but I got Crucial, so I'm going to swap that in, 16 instead. strange. That's, yeah, so that looks like it's probably SK Hynix. WDC, that might be Western Digital actually. Oh, it's a Western Digital, SN735 WDC SSD. So this is actually a Western Digital SSD. That's the new one, 16 gigabytes, 4800. So, you know, it's same speed. It'll be basically the same. There won't really be any difference. SK Hynix is a really good memory company. They've been making memory since, well, Windows 95 at least, if not older. I have some Windows 95 machines that are like 64 megabyte with that brand, so it'll be fine. And Crucial makes good RAM too, obviously. So this will take me up to 24 gigabytes. And like I said, you know, only 16 will run in dual channel. The 16 that is soldered to the board, and then, the 8 gigabytes that is soldered to the board, and then 8 of the gigabytes of this will run in dual channel. So you'll have 16 gigabytes of dual channel memory, which is fine for a lot of people. The other 8 gigabytes will not run in dual channel, so that's something to be considerate of. Okay, and after a mild bit of research, I've decided to actually put the Evo in. This Samsung drive, like I said, is a Gen 4 drive. It's going to be fast, but it's not going to be, you know, the fastest drive ever, but it's going to be really, really quick. However, one of the benefits of these style of drives is they're not super hot. That's what they're designed to be. The P5 is, from Crucial, is a hot SSD. It's going to run hot, especially if you're transferring very large files, which I sometimes do. So I don't want, you know, something at like 80 degrees. I'm sure it would be fine, but, you know, I don't need that in my life. So I've decided I'm going to use this as the boot drive on my my new desktop that I'm going to build, and it should be quick enough. It's still a Gen 4 drive, and it'll be faster than, you know, the SN550 that I was thinking of using. So this will be a really good boot drive for that. And then I'll put this in there. As for Gen 3 drives, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Gen 4 is just the most modern NVMEs. They're very, very fast, but they're also hot. This is the previous generation. You can still buy these. This is one of the fastest ones you can get. So you're going to get speeds that are going to be very impressive. When I move large files, which I do fairly frequently, this is going to be very, very good. But it's not going to be quite as hot from what I read. So I'm going to put this in there. That's something you do want to always be considerate of when you put, you know, in like a confined space like this. Is the device going to run super hot? Typically, you're going to be fine. You know, you're not using your laptop probably to move gigantic files all day in, day out. But if you are worried about it, you know, just make sure you look up the thermal operating temperature. This heatsink should move the heat away regardless, but on this drive, it'll be perfectly fine. Normally, I use TF8 by Thermalrate, and I like it because it has a thicker consistency and it has really high conductivity for one thing, but has a very thick consistency, which is really nice for laptops and mobile devices because they typically don't have you know, a ton of mounting pressure. It just has these little plates there. So I'm going to give this Noctua stuff a whirl. I've used this on desktops and it worked really well. It's probably the most popular paste outside of Arctic, but really good. But I'll see if it's not thick enough for my liking. I'll put the TF8 on. Easy as that. So actually that's a good thermal paste spread. I don't know what brand it is or whatever, but we have a pad there, which they are in good shape. I'm not going to replace them. I could, but they look to be fine, and it can leave residue. So that's that. Clean this off. And again, this looks like a pretty, this paste is not dry. Look how easy it's coming off. And the spread is good. So ASUS did a good job here with the thermal paste. I don't think you need to redo it. I would say just leave it, unless you're having problems with temperatures, in which case you could look into it, but I suspect it's fine. Here's just a shot of the battery. It looks like it's the screen isn't up super bright, it's just kind of in the middle, which the screen gets incredibly bright, so I typically have been using it like this. But yeah, it looks like with 80% battery, we're getting 7.5 hours. So it looks like, you know, you're going to get about 10% per hour. So if you're at 100%, you should get about 10 hours or so of mixed use. This is kind of mixed use, just watching some YouTube videos and just messing about on websites. If you were just doing straight up document editing, you might get a little bit more. If you're doing pretty heavy tasks, you might lose less, but I'd say this is probably about a 10-hour laptop. So it'll last you more than a whole workday, basically a whole day, I would say. Or, you know, if you go to school, if university or something, it's a whole university day easily. So, and because it's a USB-C charger, I mean, you can just charge it with whatever. You want to make sure you have a certain aspect ratio, but that's good for the 16:10. We'll go max 120, which is the screen max. I could do VSync off and get more potentially, but I'm not going to be able to get more anyways. We'll leave fidelity effects off for now. I don't know, turn that on. I don't know what that actually does. So that's just basically the video settings. And graphics, it set everything fairly low. Presets low. It looks like it turned on medium filtering, which is nice. So that might actually get rid of some of the jankies. And then everything else is fairly low, which is fine. I suspect it'll run, oh, there's some mediums here. I suspect we'll be able to get decent frame rates, and then worst case, we can actually drop the resolution and up the settings and see which looks better. Okay, so here we are. This is the mostly low settings. There's a couple mediums in there. And again, this is 1200p, which is good. We could go down to 800p, which is, you know, what the Steam Deck is, but I don't think we're gonna need it. As long as we're getting 60 FPS, we'll be fine. There's a Dragon Quest. Oh yeah, we're getting really high frame rates. Almost 100. I was not expecting it to get this many frames, to be honest. I was expecting we would have to drop down to 800p to get this. This is a very well optimized game, but even so. So here's the temperatures while the game restarts. CPU looks like it got up to about 80 to 83 degrees, which is not bad. That's really nothing for this machine. And the GPU got up to 83, so around 80 degrees on both, which is actually really good. This is in performance mode, so it can really crank up the cooling. But yeah, that's actually really impressive. For an APU, that's not bad at all whatsoever. All right, so here we are backloaded. This is the medium presets now, and we're at 1200p resolution, so same resolution. Okay, relax. Same resolution, 1200p, and medium presets. So I suspect we're gonna get 45 to 60, which is very playable. Some people prefer locked 60 or above, but some people are fine with 30. I'm kind of leaning always towards frame rate, to be honest, but the game definitely looks a little better. The game looks amazing on low. This game looks fantastic on low. It definitely looks better on medium though. I mean, we're getting above 60 on medium, on integrated graphics. The ThinkPad, I'm pretty sure offhand, didn't do this well, but again, it's slightly smaller, slightly lower power CPU, which is, you know, so you can see the menu is a little less crisp here, but who cares? So that's basically the Steam Deck right there, at least in terms of the aspect ratio and the screen resolution. I mean, it looks, I wouldn't play like this. It's kind of blurry. It's not bad. You could play like this, put it on medium, but why would you, right? Like, doesn't really make a big difference here. Now you're getting, you know, up to 100 FPS medium. So medium presets, you know, almost 100 FPS, but we're at, you know, not the best resolution, but so here we are in the game. I played this game quite a bit on the Steam Deck, and I played it on that Z13 that I had. The Z13 and it has a lower wattage CPU or APU than this, so it's, you know, this is obviously outperforming it. We're getting 45 to 50 FPS here with the fairly low settings, but the Z13 was only getting around 30 to 35, I would say. The Steam Deck typically, I'd say, gets about 30. I play this game a lot on the Steam Deck. And this is the same resolution and the same settings I use on the Steam Deck. So this is getting about 50-ish% more frames than my Steam Deck. Certainly play the game like this. This game is fine at this resolution, but let's turn it up a little bit and see if we can just make it a little crisper. We'll leave these settings all down pretty low. Yeah, and see, so now everything became a lot sharper, and we're still getting above 30 FPS, like well above 30. This game is more than playable at 30. You can play it at 60, even at 120, and it looks great. But the nature of the game, it works fine at 30. It's just when you get huge drops that sucks. But I would actually play this higher when I was on the Z13 ThinkPad, and when I play on my Steam Deck, well, obviously the Steam Deck, I play at 800p resolution for both of those, just to maintain above 30. So here I'm able to actually increase the resolution. Rain also makes it more challenging. So this is a good test here. Okay, so here we are. This is 1600 by 1200p. So it's still finer resolution than the Steam Deck. Steam Deck is 800p, this is 1200 now. And medium presets across the board, and it looks like we're at about 45 FPS. This game is very playable at this resolution too. It looks fine, especially on this screen, with the vivid OLED colors. We can, I'm going to meditate here so that I can get further into the day so there's more people around too. Okay, so now it's daytime. Let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, not really. So it's 45 FPS, 1200p. I'd probably play like this, to be honest. You could decrease it and get more frames, but 45 is good. I don't need 60. Okay, so now we're on basically close to Steam Deck resolution, 800p, and we're getting well above 60 FPS. Medium presets, so you could certainly play like this. If you don't care about the finest resolution, this might be the way to go, because we're getting 60 to 70 FPS. It is definitely smoother than when it was at 45. It's noticeably smoother. So in terms of raw gameplay, this is going to outperform a Steam Deck, obviously. Once again, this is a 45 watt APU, so just the chip itself is 45 watt. The Steam Deck, I think, is 45 max for the entire system. So, this is going to outperform that. This is definitely outperforming my Z13, again, which was a 30-ish watt variant. It's basically the same chip, 6850, 6800. So it's a 6000 series Ryzen, but this is more watts, so it's more power. Okay, so it looks like cranking the settings on Witcher got us an extra degree there. GPU was max at 86.5, so still nothing, but it did get up a degree. CPU, same idea. Oh, the CPU got a little warmer, so 85 for both CPU and GPU. Okay, so now we're gonna do, what's that? Now we're gonna do Resident Evil 3. This game is very demanding. That's one of the reasons I'm gonna test it. There's no way I'm gonna real run this at 1800. So we're going to turn that down right out of the gate. We'll do 19, might even be a little high. We'll do 1680 by 1050, which will maintain the aspect ratio, but it will be better resolution. There we go. So that's probably a decent resolution. We'll try it out, but we'll see. Let's just leave everything on medium. It looks like, well, this can get up to 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Wow, okay, I guess it can use all the memory. And again, this is fast DDR5, so looks like we have lots of overhead on VRAM. That's kind of nice, actually. We can leave the texture at high. I was expecting it to be lower. So we'll leave the texture at high. Basically, I don't need to go any higher. That's using quite a bit of VRAM. That's more than like a 3060 even. The resolution is going to be lower, obviously, but we're going to be able to crank all those settings. So, yep, let's test that. It may run really poorly, but that's kind of interesting. Okay, so here we are in the game. This is running really well, actually. We're on medium presets. I don't have any bullets, that sucks. We're on medium presets here, and not the highest resolution, but still very impressive, actually. So 1050 for the resolution, which is good. I wouldn't go down to 800p, you don't need to. That's the Steam Deck resolution, you don't need to. And all these settings are actually really high. Medium. Textures is up to high, because we have all that DRAM overhead, whereas if you're using like a 3060, yeah, you can increase the settings a bit, and the resolution you can run at a higher resolution, but you're going to run into a VRAM wall because it's only a 6 GB card, for example. This looks great though. Wow, this is very impressive. 1080, 1050p, and 70 frames on, things are set up pretty high. I'm gonna die. So let's just tweak it because that's not the point of this. Let's go with a higher resolution. We'll set that back up to 1200. This is going to be pushing it, but we'll see how it looks. Okay, so here we're at 1200. This is going to be pretty crisp looking. 1200 looks very crisp on the screen. 1050 looks crisp, but there's a little bit of blurring. However, 1200 looks crisp. There's no point in trying to run this at 1800. It just won't look good.